Okay, we continue, ladies and gentlemen. So we've talked about or discussed all the design principles. Elements. So now we're moving on to design principles. So there is the following ones. There's emphasis, there's balance or composition. Whoops. There is movement, repetition, rhythm, harmony, unity, and variety, right? And those are all important words. So I will explain all of them to you one at a time, right? So the first one we're going to start with is going to be emphasis. So emphasis is whatever is most important. So most important. So whatever is most important is the emphasis. Sometimes it's super easy, right? For example, if I click on this one, look, what is most important in this painting? Well, it's that really big wave over here, right? That is the thing that really stands out. I know there's like a boat here and a boat here, but like the first thing I see when I look at this painting or this print is going to be this giant wave, right? So that means the emphasis is on the wave. If I look at this picture, the first thing that pops out is going to be Jesus, because he is the brightest and he is sort of in the center of the painting. So that really helps me get my attention, right? So you can use all your elements and design principles to explain to people what it is that is important, right? So emphasis is super important. If you want to make a painting about something specific, then you have to make sure that whatever it is that you want people to see stands out, right? This is about Daniel, who is like in a cave full of lions, right? So who is most important? It's the guy. How do I know? Well, he is the lightest, right? He also have some warm colors around him, the red stuff, just so that people understand that is what is most important. Well, I put this little picture in here for you just to show you what happens if you do not have a clear emphasis. It's like a story. An artwork is a story, right? In this case, it's difficult for me to decide what is most important, right? Is it the house or is it the boat? Well, in this case, the house have a red roof and the boat have is red, right? So that makes it difficult. So I cannot really make up my mind what is most important over here. Is it the house or is it this thing? So this, of course, is a little bit amateurish type of painting. So if I want, for example, the boat to stand out a little bit more, I could maybe try and change the color of the roof a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see what happens. If I make this a little bit more orange, is that a little bit better? Let's see. Gotta quickly close my eyes and look at it again to see what the difference is. Yeah, so now I look, the boat become a little bit more important than the house, right? So that is something you change with emphasis. If I make this boat brown, whoops, like this, then you can see then the house becomes a little bit more important, right? So you can really change whatever becomes more important by changing those things, right? If I get rid of all of this, then in this case you can see what's going to happen is that the house is really going to stand out quite a lot, right? So you can do that by changing the emphasis, see? So whatever is the most dominant thing, the thing that you see first, is what is going to be emphasized, see? Go a little bit like this maybe, a little bit like this, whoops. Cool, see? Now clearly this is nice and easy and fun to look at because it's a little bit more at ease. Because now it's like simple, because now the emphasis is clearly on the house, right? It's make this way more pleasant for me to look at then when there's also something that is contrasting in the front, right? The boat is really not helping this painting. This painting doesn't work like that at all. Well, if I were to do another trick that you already know, like I'm turning my opacity down, so I'm putting some light blue on top of this, look, because in the background the contrast should be less strong, look. That's going to bring all of this stuff a little bit more to the background. Well, it's maybe too much. Let's do a little bit less. Maybe this. See? It's going to make this feel a little bit farther away. It's going to also make my painting feel a little bit more pleasant, right? So those are all things that you need to keep in mind, right? A painting that does not have a clear emphasis will always look super amateuristic, right? So you have to tell the people that are looking at your artwork what is important. And if you are not telling them what is important, then it looks very amateuristic and it doesn't really work, right? So that is emphasis. Emphasis is super important. See? Whoop. You really want to make sure certain things stand out, and that is going to make it look nice. And of course, all the other lessons that you use when you draw things, because you know if you're using this, the stones should probably get like slowly a little bit bigger because we're using a little bit of perspective, right? Then we can also do just one super quick thing, just because it's fun. Am I out of layers? I'm out of layers. Okay, I have to sacrifice this picture for it. That's okay. Look. If we do, for example, a shadow now, plus, here we go, look. I wanted to show you this, but I didn't find a good place. If you want to add a shadow to something, like, you know, make it feel like a certain temperature, then if you do black, that doesn't really work. See, if I go and make all of this area over here black, and here too, I just want to show you super quickly what I'm going to do. So let's say all of this is going to be having a little bit of a shadow cast from the roof, like this, right? All of this is going to be black. Turn the opacity down a little bit. Just want to show you what this does, right? See, I can create shadows here on the ground. I can do all kinds of nice, interesting shadow patterns. See, looks nice. See, it's interesting. Okay. It's creating some cast shadow here. Let's go a little bit lower here. Look. Now this shadow, I made this one by doing a little bit of black to here, right? But black doesn't really help me. If you ever want to do some interesting shadows or cast shadows, please don't use black. Here, I'll show you what to do better. See? So you can control how something feels by changing the temperature, right? So if I were to, for example, pick something that is really red and black, like this, for example, look, and I throw that in all my dark areas, and I now turn the opacity down a little bit, you can see, even though it's darker, it feels a little bit warm. See? It's giving me a little bit of warmth in this case because there's a little bit of a warm color in there. Now, if I were to change this from a warm color into a cold color, like some sort of like blue or something, look, some black blue, like here, look. And if I change the opacity now, you can see it's gonna feel cool. See? It's gonna give me some cool shadows. So for your shadows, please think about whether you want it to be warm or whether you want it to be cool, right? Okay, now if I were to add, for example, a warm color in the background of this painting, here we go. Let's say I put over here like something like orange and bright, like this, look. Now the emphasis on my painting is on this orange thing. This orange thing really stands out so much, see? That is demanding all of my attention, see? So make sure when you make something that you think about all your elements and design principles, and you can use those to make sure that your painting works, because warm colors do not go in the background. Warm colors need to go in the foreground, right? So those are important things. So emphasis is whatever is most important in a painting. And you are telling a story, so you have to make sure that people understand. See, I've done like a little bit of minor adjustments. Let's bring this all the way back so you can see. Look, I hold it down. Look, bam. Oh, forward. Here, see? No emphasis. Don't know where to look. Everything is just on the same layer and close to my eyeballs. Right? Keep it in mind. Important. Okay. So emphasis means whatever is most important. And a painting or an artwork without an emphasis is basically just kind of like, what's going on? I don't understand. Doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Okay. So the next word is balance, and that is a really, really big deal. So when you read balance, think of composition, and that is what I'm going to explain to you right now. Here we go. So I'll got this here going. I'll get rid of all of this, and I will show you all of this stuff over here. Look, okay. Show, and that is this one, that is this one. I will delete all of this and start all the way from the beginning because it is better. This picture off. Here we go. Okay, balance. Balance, balance. Balance means that something is in balance, which means both sides are the same, right? Example. So something can be balanced or something can be unbalanced. Whoops, unbalanced, right? So look, if you look at this little tiny drawing that I'm about to do, you can see over here, for example, I can put a little snowman like this. Look, he's sitting over here, right? Now, if I were to draw on this side, also a little snowman like this, whoop, then basically they are weighing the same amount, right? And because they are weighing the same amount, they are in balance, right? So this is balanced. Now, if I were to draw, for example, this thing, whoops, which is going to be exactly the same thing. Look, I put a little snowman over here, whoops, and a nose. And on this side, I put, for example, this thing, a little Christmas tree. Then this is not the same, but it takes up roughly the same amount of space on both sides. So even though it's not exactly the same, it weighs sort of the same. So that is also balanced. We call this thing informal balance. And that is a big deal, right? Now, if something is unbalanced, it will look something like this. Here, draw that for you too. Here's a little snowman again. Whoop. In this case, he is sad. Why is he sad? Well, he is all the way on his own, right? So this is unbalanced. Now, this one is also going to be unbalanced, but this one is going to be a little bit more fun. Look. Whee! He's very happy. Whoa! And his friend is also very happy. So yeah, let's move his friend over a little bit. Why not? Here we go. Because they are using this to jump. See? Look. And that is giving me things that are unbalanced. So think about this for a second, right? When something is unbalanced, that means that both sides are not the same. And that is where I'm trying to get to here. Something that is balanced looks like this. Both sides are the same. Something that is unbalanced, both sides do not look the same. I think that makes sense, right? So, that also have to do with another word. And that word is this. Symmetry. So symmetrical, and then this is a or anti-symmetrical. That is the following thing. When something is symmetrical, that means, for example, if I do the letter T like this, whoops, that means both sides are exactly the same, or something like this. Whoop. Both sides are the same. That means symmetrical, right? For example, this letter is not symmetrical because there's no way I can cut this anywhere, right? That is going to be the same. So things that are asymmetrical, whoops, like this for example, are unbalanced, right? So something that is the same on both sides is balanced. That is very important to understand. So what does this mean for us? Well, that means for us basically the following thing. That means for us this. Look, if you think about a painting from this moment on, like this. Let's say this is a painting or a photograph or a television screen or your computer screen or whatever it is that it can be. Then what you can do this. You can draw a line in the middle, like so. And basically that is like a mirror, right? So when you look at something, you're trying to find out if this one or this one feels like it's more important. So that means this. If I were to find a picture, okay, I'm going too fast. Okay, so basically you're trying to find out if it's the same on both sides. If it's the same on both sides, it looks balanced. If it doesn't look the same on both sides, it looks unbalanced. So I'm going to give you an example here. Hold up. Here I do this one, then I do this one. Draw this one over here too. So you can see the difference. Here, look. Here. Let's say for this one, for example, I could draw like a landscape like this. I could put like a little house over here, like this, for example. Oops. And then I would put over here, for example, some trees, like so. I draw like a little bit of a water line, like this, whatever. Here. This one is symmetrical, right? It basically is the same on both sides. That means this is a symmetrical composition. And this one has informal balance because it is not exactly the same, because on one side I have a house, on the other side I have a clump of trees. Well, that's true. If I want it to be exactly the same, I could do that. I could just say, okay, well, if I want it to be exactly the same, I can do that. Then I can do this. Look, I can draw like another house on this side, like the same way. Whoop. Maybe do this. In that case, it is almost completely symmetrical, right? So symmetrical means both sides are the same. Now, if I were to draw the same scene over here, but for example, I would just draw my house over here, whoop, like this, then already I have created an asymmetrical composition, because if I do the following thing, and this is really what I would like you to do, so I hope I have one more layer. Let's do it, make a new layer quickly. What I want you to think about is this, and this is how I do it, because I think this is the easiest way to do it. Look, what I like to do is I like to grab my hand, whoops, like this hand actually. I do this, whoops, this is my hand, right? It's not very pretty, but whatever, I can't really be too bothered about it. But what I do is normally I just do this, and it's very handy. I grab my hand, whoop, wow, what a terrible hand, okay, whatever. But this is my hand. What I like to do is I like to do this. You can also do this with a paper, it doesn't really matter. I just want to show you here. I just fill it with whatever. My hand is yellow, I guess, today, which is fine. Okay. What I like to do is I like to do this. I go find myself a painting, and then I grab my hand and I cover my painting up. Oops. So I cover this side up, and then I look at it, and then I say, okay, is there a lot of stuff happening here, right? Is there a lot of stuff happening on this side? No. What if I cover the other side? So I flip my hand over. Is there more stuff here? Or is there more stuff here? Well, in that case, there is more stuff on the left-hand side. So that means that my painting is going to be asymmetrical, right? And I can do the same thing over here. Look, if I go cover this side, for example, then I can say, okay, well, on this side, I have like a little house, right? So what happens on the other side? Hey, is that the same? It's the same, see? So I can keep on flipping this, and you can see it is the same on both sides. That is very handy to do. If you ever want to know what a composition is, you can very easily do that. Here, look. If I grab my hand over here, make sure it's above. Look. You tell me, is this side more, or is this side more, or is it the same? It is the same, right? So that is the best way to do it, covering half of it. I'll show you one more example, because it is really important that you understand. Look, so next example. If I cover this one, is there more happening on the right hand side? Does that feel more important, or does this feel more important? Well, this feels more important, right? So that is a really good trick to think about compositions, right? So a composition is basically how you organize things onto your painting or a photograph, right? It's very important. Now, there is balanced compositions, and there are balanced and there are unbalanced compositions, and both have their own specific meaning, right? For example, if you want to create something with movement, or you want to create tension, then you want to use something that is unbalanced, that is key. Look, this one creates tension. Tension. This one creates movement, right? So this one is peace, right? Both of these ones are peace, and it is easy to look at, right? It's not giving you any tension. So what is tension? Well, that comes from the following thing, right? For example, let's say I'm over it now, but let's say this here. Let's say this is a thing that comes from evolution. So that is how I would like you to think about it here. So let's say this here, look. So I am not a big fan of, for example, here, let's say a scorpion. Scorpion images, scorpions, right? Okay. I don't like scorpions. I don't like them. They're not my favorite type of insect in the world. They're super annoying. Add to photos, right? Okay. So what does this mean for us? Well, this means for us the following thing. Where is my composition picture? Come on, I just had you open. You can do it. I believe in you. Let's go. Did I close it? Why did I close it? Which one is it? It's not that one. It's not that one. Oh, lost it. strange. Oh, it's probably here. Okay, cool. Here we go. So, the way it works is as followed. Here, delete. Insert a photo. Here, this is a scorpion, right? Okay. So, if I do not like scorpions, then what I want to make sure of is I'm standing, let's say, over here, right? This is me. I'm standing over here. Then if I don't like scorpions, then I would probably try to look at the scorpion and keep it in the middle of my view, right? Because then I know where the scorpion is. Then I don't have to worry, I do not get surprised, I'm focusing on the scorpion. That makes sense? If I'm afraid, I'm looking at it, I'm making sure it doesn't go anywhere, right? So, if I were to move the scorpion somewhere to my peripheral view, that would feel a lot more intense, because now I'm focusing over here on whatever is happening over here, but in the side of my view, if these are my ears, whatever, right? That means I'm looking over here. So that means it's in my peripheral. And when something is in your peripheral, something that you don't like, then you're going to feel uneasy, right? Whatever it is that you want to look at, you focus on it. You turn your head in the direction you want to see. If there's things that you do not like that are slightly off of the center of where you're trying to focus, that's going to give you a little bit of tension, right? And this tension is what you play with by creating different types of compositions. See? That is this tension that I mean. By putting it slightly off the middle or slightly off to the side, you can create tension. See? Look. If I want it to be nice, I put it in the middle. I'm focusing on it. But it becomes boring. So oftentimes, if you put something slightly off to one side, it becomes a little bit more interesting. In fact, if you have a camera, a nice camera, and some of you guys have like iPhones, you will find that there's actually something super special in there, because most cameras come with this, which is a viewfinder, right? If you look through the camera, it's going to give you these lines, right? And these lines are super nice because you can use those to create an interesting composition, right? So let me copy this and I want to show you. Copy, gallery. Super quickly want to show you this because it's so important. Here we go. Add, insert a photo. No, let's do paste. Add, paste. Here. This is my little viewfinder on my camera. I make a lot of black around it. I'll show you. I find like a picture that is boring, of like anything, like a, here, let's find like a city, okay, a beach, boardwalk, picture, hop, cool. Okay, let's just grab any picture that we want. Let's do, for example, a nice big one. Let's do this one, for example. It's too small, huh? It's a little bit small. Hold up. Let's do a picture. Picture. Okay, let's do this one. Add to photos. Let's do a just random picture. Landscape picture. Let's go. Just gonna throw some random pictures in. Add to photos. Let's do another one. Like whatever. another one here. Sports. That's a good example here. Sports picture. Yeah, here we go. Add to photos. Let's do this one. Let's do this one here. Add to photos. This is actually good, like this. Okay. Dun. Add to photos. And let's do another one. Let's call it. Oh, here we go. We already have it here. Add to photos. Cool. Okay, I got a couple of photos now. I got my finder here. I will insert some photos super quickly. This one. And another one. Insert photo. This one. And insert photo. This one. And insert photo. This one. And insert, oh, not file, cancel. Insert photo. Say this one. And insert photo, let's say this one. Cool, okay. So now I got a couple of pictures, right? Cool, okay. So let's look at them super quickly and find out what they are at the moment, right? So this one is, whoops, let's have a look at it. Okay, is the left side of this picture more important or the right side? Let's have a look here. So I'm going to draw a line in the center, which would be over here, right? Okay. So over here I draw a line, I fill it. Oh, did it not close? Okay. This one important or this side more important? Which one demanding a little bit more attention? Difficult. This one I find very difficult. Okay, so whatever. Cool. So if you take a good photograph, you use this thing over here. Look, this is your finder. Duplicate. Here. So basically, when you're looking through your camera, it's gonna give you, oops, oh, go back. It's gonna give you this option. See, look. Basically, hey, here we go. When you're looking to the camera, usually you get these lines on it, which is super handy because then you can kind of determine what you want the focus of your painting to be in. Now, most often what you want to do is you want to make sure that whatever is important is on your thirds. It's rule of thirds. So you're trying to add things on the third point. See? Trying to create these intersections of where things work well together. See? So I want my focus to be here on this white pillar, and I want this one to kind of be the same as my palm trees, for example. Maybe a little bit bigger. So I would zoom it to maybe like here. Maybe try to get this to go together with the horizon. That might look nice. See? So you can kind of play with this to find like a composition that looks nice, right? I think this looks nicer, personally, than without. I think it's more interesting, right? Now, that also happens when you make a painting. Look, this is a little painting here. So let's zoom in a little bit over here, make this like a lot smaller, and you can see here. This one, we have the tree nicely on the thirds over here. See? Oops, try and find a good composition here. Is this, I think, looks nice. See? I think that is an interesting looking composition. So those are things to keep in mind. Your camera will give you a viewfinder like this, and you can use these lines to make things work, right? Now, this is a very good example of an interesting composition over here, because what we have over here is a soccer ball, right? Look, soccer ball. Now, where is this soccer ball located? Well, you can see the soccer ball is located exactly where it should be. See? The soccer ball is basically going to be there. See? It's going to be in a place that give it a little bit of tension. It's making it a little bit to the side. It's gonna look nice. See? If I were to go and focus on this soccer ball differently, like this, put it in the middle, like so, becomes super boring picture, right? So that's very important. Your composition is so important because it's gonna create a little bit of tension. This is looking interesting because it's on one side, it's asymmetrical. And you often see this happening in sports photos, that it becomes boring. Look, this is a terrible and boring picture because the focus of this image is in the center. Look, what is important? Well, the people playing soccer, right? But the composition is mainly central. See, it's sort of like, yeah, it's all happening there. It's not interesting at all, right? If you move this over here, for example, a little bit like this, and if you were to add like a little bit more of this grass here on the left, you get a way more interesting photo because it will look a lot more dynamic, and there's also going to be place for this person to go. It reads a lot more like action because action doesn't happen right in front in the middle of your eyes. Action happens a little bit off to the side. See, that also is happening here. This picture is also very boring because it's also too much in the center. See, it's boring. If you add more stuff to the side, it's gonna look a lot better. Here, more stuff over here, a little bit more stuff over here, a little bit more stuff over here, more stuff over here. It's gonna feel nice, a lot more interesting to look at. So those are all things that compositions are going to allow you to do. It's gonna give you more options, gonna make things look better, more interesting, right? So if you want to create something that has movement in it, you want to use a composition that helps. And the more you make something on an angle, the more it's going to move, right? So compositions, super important. So we continue. That was a super quick thing I wanted to show you. Okay, here we go. So that's how I would like you to think about a composition, right? I want you to think about, is it in the middle? Is it going to be to the side? Those are really important things to keep in mind, right? So here we go. Okay, so if you want to create movement, make sure your composition is unbalanced. So it's happening a little bit off. Otherwise, it's never going to look like it's moving, right? Okay, so there are balanced compositions and there are unbalanced compositions. So I'm going to give you a whole list of different types of compositions now. Here we go. I draw you a couple of examples super quickly. Let's see. I might already have them. Should I do that? Or should I just do it now? Do it. I draw it again. It's better. Okay. I delete this ones. Delete. Okay. So let's first do the balanced compositions. So for the balanced compositions, you can draw this. Look, balanced. Balanced. There's going to be a handout too, where I give you all of this information, just so you know, but I think it's good when you see it one time. So balanced have no movement. And it has to be symmetrical. Those are very important things to keep in mind. Okay, so the balanced compositions are compositions that are the same on both sides. So I will draw all of them for you super quickly. Here we go. So for example, a symmetrical composition, symmetrical or symmetrical informal balance. You already seen those. Those are all symmetrical. So for example, if you draw a house like this, both sides are the same, we're talking about a symmetrical composition, right? Or if you want to draw a house over here And you do the same thing over here, I guess. Then both sides are the same. Then we're talking about symmetrical, a symmetrical composition. Position. If you draw, for example, a house over here, and you draw a tree over here, it's not exactly the same, but it's almost the same. Then we have a symmetrical composition with informal balance, right? Keep that in mind. Okay, now another one that is going to be balanced is going to be this one. It's called a central composition. So a central composition is in the center. So that's very important. So if I draw, for example, a apple here, apple, like this maybe, look, this apple is in the center. It's the same distance here to here. I'm trying to really keep it nicely in the center, right? That is a central composition. Now, it's very important when you are trying to draw central composition. A couple of things are really important here. Look. For example, if I draw a face here, like a mask, like maybe I draw like a Spider-Man mask or something. Oop. Choop, 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 choop. Let's say this is not going to be truly a good one because something is happening here. Look, what's happening here is this. This is in the center, but look, it is on an angle, and that means it's unbalanced, right? So try and make it the same, because if it's not the same on both sides, then how can I say it's balanced, right? I'll give you a better example here. If I get rid of this and I draw for you a rocket, like maybe here, look, whoop, like this, whoop. This one is central, right? Because I'm trying, oops, as you can see, I'm trying to keep it in the center, right? And on top of that, it is also quite symmetrical because it's the same on both sides, right? Now, if I were to do this, then I can say, okay, it's still in the center, right? It's still the same on both sides. But if I do this, it becomes something different because this is no longer the same on both sides, see? So that is not balanced. That makes sense? I hope it does, right? So for central, it needs to be symmetrical and it needs to be in the center of something. Otherwise, it doesn't count. Now, another thing that doesn't count is if you connect it to the bottom. If I, for example, do, let's say, this, and I say, okay, I'm just gonna keep on going, this doesn't count because this is connecting to the ground, right? See, here it's connecting. It needs to be loose, it needs to be separate. If it's not separate, then it's never central, right? It needs to be in the middle of your thing. So that would be something central. Okay, good. Then the next one is going to be this one. And this is a super specific and special one. This one is called a triangular composition. And a triangular composition is a composition that everything fits inside of the shape of a triangle. See? Like something like this. So you'll get, I'll show you pictures. You get like, usually you get like one or multiple people, like maybe like a Maria or something, and like some baby or something, or sometimes other things, and everything fits beautifully inside of a triangle shape. Now, if you go onto the internet and you type in triangular composition, you're going to get lots of examples of where, like, for example, in a painting, people just draw some sort of random triangle, right? They say, okay, look at this. Like all the important things that I'm drawing like, let's say, here, here, and here, right? And then I say, yeah, you're right, it's a triangle, but is that balanced? No. So a triangle that is like longer on one side than the other side is not balanced. And because it's not balanced, it can never be part of the balanced compositions, right? So you're really looking for something that is symmetrical as shape, otherwise it's never gonna look like a balanced composition. See, that makes sense? Good, I think it does. I'll show you a good picture right now. Okay, so we have like one or multiple things and everything lines up nicely inside of a triangle shape. Cool. Okay, I'll show you examples right now. Look, I'll show you an example of a triangular composition. Here we go. This is a triangular composition and I will draw on it so you can see what I'm talking about. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, get rid of this one. Need more layers. Plus. Okay, triangular composition. Look. This is a triangular composition. How? Well, let's find out. Here, look. This goes here. Whoop. This goes here. Whoop. Nice triangle. A little bit more actually. Let's say here. See? This is very close to being a really nice triangle. See? So you might say, well, I don't believe you, you know, that's not really a triangle. I'll show you here, look. They specifically paint this little box here, this one, because that is part of my triangle. Because if I get rid of this little box over here, like this, then it's going to be way difficult for me to now draw a triangle shape that works, see? Because now, sort of, right? Still. But with the box, it opens it up a little bit more, right? But look, it fits nicely in a triangle. I'll give you another example here. This one. Look, this one is also a triangular composition. Look, here we go. Whoop, plus. Here. Nice. And nice. See? Beautiful. Look what happens if I get rid of this cat, for example. It will feel less triangular. See? That's why this cat is here. That's why this cat is so nice and bright. See? If I don't see the cat, it feels a little bit less triangular. See? It's really helping me feel this nice triangle shape. And that is also why this bird box is here. Because if this bird box, like cage I guess is what it's called, it's not a bird box, but whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. If it's not here, it's gonna feel totally different. Oops. Gonna feel super different. Just mix it a little bit, I guess, here. Weep. Too big? Too big. Okay, here. Oops. There. Did mix it, but it didn't mix it the way I wanted. See? It's different. So composition, triangle, balance, nice. Okay, cool. So let's talk about, because I've shown you some examples now of things that are the same on both sides. So let's show you more. So I was talking about also about symmetrical compositions, and I was talking about symmetrical with informal balance. Well, what does that look like, for example? Let's look at a good example of symmetrical with informal balance right now. Look, this painting is a really nice painting. and it has informal balance. Look. So for this painting, let's see. Is the left side more important or is the right side more important, right? If I go and cover this all up with, like, let's say white, look, does this side feel more important or does this side feel more important, or is it sort of the same? This one or this one? It's the same, ladies and gentlemen. Look. So basically, this one is difficult because clearly the one on the right hand side here is higher. This is like a lot higher than the other side, right here, this. But this one weighs the same. So what does that mean? Look, in this painting we have to look at the amount of white. So if I were to get rid, for example, of the white that's over here a little bit, like do a little bit less of this white stuff here, weeps, get like a little bit rid of it, here, less white over here, more dark colors over here, oops, a little bit away of this, look, now it is a lot more heavy on the right hand side, right? So this little white color that I put in here is really helping us, making it feel more balanced, right? Now the right hand side is way more dominant. If I turn this off, you can see, look, boink. Now it feels similar in weight, right? So that is informal balance, right? So that is something you can play with. And the same thing is happening here a little bit. Yeah. So in this case, if you look at this picture, you can see the person on the left is way bigger. So in order to make it feel the same, what this lady has done, this painter, is she has made this bird over here, because this bird is going to balance it out a little bit, right? Now another thing she's doing to balance it out or to make her feel more important is she is giving herself a complementary color contrast, right? Because of the red and green, she becomes a lot more important. Look, if I were to give this guy a complementary color contrast now too, I got that blue over here. So let's start putting in some like orange buttons over here and maybe like an orange belt. Then he will become a lot more dominant, right? So now I really start to look at this complementary color contrast over here. Starts to become a lot more important to look at him than to look at just her, right? So those are all things that you have to think about, right? So she is more dominant because she's using a complementary color contrast, and she has this to level it out a little bit, right? So in this case, if you flip both of them, it's difficult to pick which side is more important. It's a little bit more in balance. So that is informal balance. So you can use everything. You can use your colors, you can use all your values, like you can use all the different things that we talked about to create interesting compositions. And you also need to be able to remind or remember what they are called. It's very important when you look at a piece of art that you understand the composition, because the composition have to do with the emphasis. Okay, so those are all different types of compositions that are balanced, right? So balanced composition don't show any movement and they are mainly symmetrical, right? Cool. Okay. So let's look next at some unbalanced compositions, because those ones are a lot of fun. Here we go. So if you want to create a little bit of movement, then I strongly advise you to use a composition that is unbalanced. Hop, get rid of this one. Yes, let's go. Okay. So unbalanced compositions show us movement. See? So we're looking for tension and movement. So what does that look like? Well, that looks something like this here. Unbalanced. There's only two types. The first one is this. Asymmetrical composition. An asymmetrical composition. Anytime you draw something like whatever it is, like for example a little spider, whoop, whoop, like this, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, toop, 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 like this. Anytime you put it a little bit to the side, or more to the side, or anywhere just more, ever so slightly more on one side, you are creating tension. So then you are looking at an asymmetrical composition. It can just be ever so slightly a little bit off from the center and you have created something asymmetrical, right? And that is always going to give you more tension, right? So that is an asymmetrical composition. When there's something more happening on one side than there is happening on someplace else, right? Cool. Now that's giving you stress, or that's giving you tension. Cool. The next type is going to be this one. And I'll do two for you, just to show you super quickly. Yeah. Because they can go different ways. Okay. The next one is called a diagonal composition. So a diagonal composition, diagonal composition is a composition that have a strong diagonal line in it. Look, both of these have a strong diagonal line in it, right? For example, if I were to draw a little car over here, oops, and try and draw it really that you cannot see the difference between the front and the back. Try and make it the same, like this. And then I do copy paste. Put this one here and flip it a little bit this way. Whoops, like this. Then what I would like you to do is I would like you to think about this for 1 second and think about which of these two little cars is driving up the hill and which of these little cars is driving down the hill, right? Okay. So make up your mind. And then I'm going to tell you what it is. And then I'll show you a better example than this. Look. Basically, since childhood, you have been learning how to read. And you read from left to right. So that is what's happening here. This car wants to go uphill, this car wants to go downhill. And then you say to me, yeah, I don't believe you. And then I say to you, okay, let's go. So here we go. If you want to make a painting with a strong diagonal line in it, or movement, because that's what you're trying to do, movement, then this is going to be key. You want to use this type of stuff. Here we go. Look. Give you this painting over here. Look. This one is a really good example. Look here. This is Jesus, right? Look. Here. I copy and paste Jesus. Where are you? Here. Duplicate. Oh, out of layers? Okay, whatever. Which one do I get rid of? I get rid of this one. Delete. Duplicate. Cool. Okay, same picture. Hop. Look. Which of these two pictures does it look like Jesus is being pulled up? The left one or the right one? Well, I will tell you it's going to be the right one, right? On the right one, it looked like they're trying to bring him to go up. Where on this one, it looks like they're sort of trying to bring him to go down, right? So keep that in mind, because they're both the same, but they both feel very different. Here I really get the idea he is being like lowered, where here I really have the feeling he is being raised, right? Now, another thing that's happening over here is this painting have a nice diagonal line in it. See, look, weeps, movement. This is all diagonal, see? It all lines up together, see? The light and the pole and the shoulders, it all connects, see? And this is also a diagonal line, and here there's a diagonal line. This kind of also mixes together, see? So like most things in this painting are using diagonal lines, right? It's not an accident, it's deliberate, right? So if you want to show movement, think about things need to be on an angle, because it is just so much better when you do that. Move those together. Here, okay, here, this one. This one is asymmetrical, it's giving me some stress. See, it's off. If I cover my hand in the center, left side, right side, easy, right? Tension. Good. Here, this one too. So nice. Show you. Here, look. Nice. This one also using some interesting line. Look here. This one go this way. Here, go this way. See? It all work together. It's all one motion here. Look, go like this. And then you say, okay, well, yes or no, let's find out. Look, I'll do a whatever. This one, I don't know what it does. Look, if I get rid of the dark stuff here, or if I get like a little bit rid of this like light color over here, look, make this all a little bit darker, then I'm really starting to miss out on this nice long motion. See, this long motion is no longer one continuous motion. It's different, see? But that's why this guy is so bright. He's so bright to continue the flow of the painting, the diagonal, right? And the person that's most important is this guy who is off to the side, see? Like it really all comes down to putting some thought into your composition here. This one also asymmetrical, more stuff happening on one side, right? So those are compositions. So this one too, look, this one is diagonal. See, it have a strong diagonal line on it. If you were to draw two people standing like one is standing here and one is standing here, it's boring, right? Like, let's go shoot each other right on the side. Nobody interested in looking at that, right? But if you put them on a little angle, nice diagonal lines, look, way more interesting to look at, right? So composition, super important. Here, I did it earlier, last time I showed this thing here, look. I quickly added this picture, look. This is a picture I found on the internet, is Spider-Man. Spider-Man is flying in the sky, but this Spider-Man is not really flying in the sky, it's boring. The composition is boring, he's in the middle, he's not really on an angle. So, look, all I did was I moved the leg a little bit longer, see? So he become more on an angle, and I also make the arm go a little bit more up, so it's a little bit more in line with the other arm, which means now I've created like some really nice and bright angles. Look, here, this is a nice angle, and this is going on a nice diagonal angle, and on top of that, he is way on this side and not here, which is giving us way more space for him to go, way more movement, right? So really important, if you want things to move, really put it on a nice diagonal angle, otherwise it's never gonna look like it's moving as much as it could, right? Important. Okay. Then there are a couple of different compositions that I also need to discuss with you, and those ones are special. So they are, for me and for you, considered to be special compositions. Well, cancel. Let's just delete it. It's more easy. Okay. So special compositions. Well, what does that mean? Let's go. Here we go. So special compositions can be either balanced or they can be unbalanced. It doesn't really matter. Here we go. So a special composition is something you need to be able to recognize for what it is. So, for example, they can be unbalanced, oops, sorry, here, that's better, done, unbalanced. They can be unbalanced or they can be balanced, that depends, but what you need to be able to do is you need to be able to recognize them because they're usually named for something specific, right? So the first one is this one. It's called geometrical composition. So a geometrical composition is a composition that is basically just geometrical shapes and or forms, right? So if I were to do, for example, a box, and I would be doing a triangle, and I would be doing a, well, let's keep this in the right proportions, this, and I would be doing this, then you could say, hey, that is a geometrical composition because the only things here are geometrical. Now, can it then be like asymmetrical like this, or can it be like more on a diagonal line, for example? Like, let's say if I were to make like this, for example, then I could say, well, it's not only just geometrical things, it's also diagonal, right? Or it could also just be something like, for example, something like this. If there was just like a triangle in the middle of the painting, that would also be a geometrical composition. So for geometrical composition, the main key is that you cannot recognize anything other than geometrical things in it. For example, if I do again a triangle and I do a box and I do a stick and I do a circle, I'm talking about something geometrical. If I do this, I reorganize them into a box with a triangle, a stick and a circle. That is not correct, because that is a house and a tree made out of geometrical shapes, but that is not the purpose of geometrical composition, right? This is called figurative because I'm trying to create a figure. This is called non-figurative because they're just only geometrical things, right? So keep that in mind. When you can only see geometrical things and the whole purpose of the thing is that it's geometrical, then you're looking at geometrical art, right? There's lots of geometrical art. Here, I'll show you. Here, I'll show you what is and what isn't. Geometrical art is art like this. Cool. Now, I can already show you lots of things that are not geometrical art. This is not geometrical art. This is a moon and a mountain. This is a pineapple, so that is not geometrical art. This is people, so it's not geometrical art. This is geometrical art because there is nothing else for me to see other than geometrical things. Same here. This is only geometrical things. This is only geometrical things. This is only geometrical, only geometrical. This is not. These are animals. These are figurative. This is a cactus. It's not geometrical art. this is, right? So when you can only see geometrical patterns, then you're looking at geometrical art. But as soon as you can say, okay, that is an animal or a plant or a mountain or anything else, then you're no longer looking at geometrical art. This is 100% geometrical art, and this too, right? So there can be many things. They have like strong diagonal lines in it, for example, like this, or they can be sort of, let's say, balanced, you know, like there's lots of different options, but the main purpose is that it is geometrical, right? So this all counts. Okay, then that is geometrical art. Then I have two more to go. I have this one, which is called overall. So overall composition is a composition that is made specifically for this type of painting. I think I have an example here. Yeah, let me do this, is better. Look, it's already here. It's made for a painting like this, a splatter painting, right? So you can see I've separated these little pieces here. I've separated these little pieces, see? I took some pieces from here and you can see they all look similar or almost completely the same, right? So overall is also abstract expressionism, and basically it will look like somebody's just been throwing paint onto the painting and it's happening everywhere, and no part is any real different than any other part, right? So that is called overall composition. Cool. Then last one is the best one. It's going to be this one, directional. So a directional composition is by far the coolest composition, because in a directional composition your eye gets like drawn into a certain area. So those are my favorite ones. Whenever you can find one, it's like so cool. I'm going to show you examples, right? A directional composition works as followed. It can be like that everything lines up to like show you something specific, or it can be that your attention is being like twirled in a little circle, or it is that things line up. I have examples of all of those. I'll show you right now. Look, directional compositions. First one, this one. Look, here we go. In this painting, one person is the most important. Good. Who can it be? Who is the most important person in this painting? Let's have a look. Hoppa. Let's have a look. I know who it is. It is this person over here. Whoops, sorry. Here. This is the most important person. How do I know? Well, look. This is pointing over here. This is sort of pointing here. This is sort of pointing here. See? So a lot of the things in the painting sort of aim towards this one tiny person. See? Whoop. And even though she's really tiny and everybody else is bigger, you still know that she is emphasized because things are pointing towards her, right? So that is a beautiful directional composition. I'll show you another one here. Look, this one, super nice. Look, this one keeps your attention in a tiny little circle. So how does this one work? Well, for this one, you have to follow the light. So what do I mean? I mean this. Look, this is light area, this is a light area, this is a light area, this is a light area, this is light, this is light, this is light, here is light, and then we get back here. So I'm trying to go in this tiny little circle. My attention is being brought over there, right? If I were to cover up like more blue over here, you can see the whole effect with the light is being broken, like it's no longer really flowing so nice. See? So those are directional compositions. Directional compositions are super nice and interesting, right? Show you one more. Here, this one. This one also have clear directions to follow where everything lines up with each other. Look, the guitar goes to here. The guitar goes into here, goes into the stick goes into the foot, goes into the dress, goes back up this way. And here we can also follow, see? Whoop. So basically here we get like two nice lines to follow, see? It's all lining up. It's not an accident that it's lining up, it's deliberate, right? Directional compositions. Okay, so that sums up emphasis and composition. So emphasis is whatever is most important, and composition can be balanced or it can be unbalanced, right? Composition super important. So then the next video is going to be on movement, repetition, rhythm, harmony, unity, and variety. Okay, that's it. Thank you.